The Confederation was the largest and most ancient institution in the galaxy. It spanned thousands of star systems, encompassing species as varied as the environments they came from. For millennia, it had stood as a bulwark against chaos, maintaining a fragile peace among its members. Its rules and traditions were steeped in age-old customs, some practical, others symbolic, and all fiercely upheld. When humanity was granted entry into the Confederation, it was seen as a historic moment. Earth's representatives stood proudly before the assembly, their voices filled with hope and determination. They were a young species, relatively new to interstellar exploration, and eager to join what they believed was a community of peace and cooperation. Yet, they quickly learned that the Confederation was neither wholly benevolent nor forgiving. One of the most peculiar traditions was the adoption of an epithet. Each species chose a name that encapsulated its essence, a reflection of its evolutionary path, cultural values, or greatest aspirations. These names were more than just symbols, they were promises, shaping how a species was perceived and how it behaved. The ancient archivists of the Confederation kept meticulous records of these names, which often hinted at the species' destinies. The humans, after weeks of debate, announced their choice. "Call us those who run," their representative said, standing tall before the assembly. The chamber, filled with representatives of hundreds of species, erupted into murmurs and whispers. To many, the name seemed strange, even weak. In a galaxy where strength and dominance were often glorified, why would humans choose a name that implied retreat? The humans, however, had their reasons. The name was not about fear or cowardice but about endurance and adaptability. From the earliest days on Earth, humanity had been shaped by the need to move, to survive against predators, harsh climates, and limited resources. They were runners, not away from danger, but toward survival. It was a name steeped in their history and evolution, one they carried with pride. But pride did little to sway the opinions of others. The name became a subject of ridicule in the galactic halls of power. Delegates from the more warlike species scoffed, seeing humans as unworthy of respect. "Those who run," they sneered. "Run where?" "To their dens, tails between their legs." Even among the more diplomatic species, the choice raised eyebrows. It seemed a peculiar and unambitious way to present themselves in a galaxy teeming with powerful civilizations. Humanity's early days in the Confederation were challenging. They were outsiders, viewed as inexperienced and overly idealistic. The political arena was a minefield, and humanity's representatives struggled to navigate the labyrinthine bureaucracy. Meanwhile, whispers of their supposed weakness spread like wildfire. Some species, like the cautious Rilf, took a wait-and-see approach. Others, like the predatory Lashi, saw an opportunity. The Lashi were apex predators, their culture built on dominance and conquest. They had been in the Confederation for centuries, but their methods often skirted the edge of what was permissible. The Lashi were called "those who scourge," and the name fit them well. They saw humanity as easy prey, a fledgling race ripe for exploitation. For them, "those who run" was a promise of weakness, a signal that humans would fold under pressure. While humanity worked diligently to integrate into the Confederation, the Lashi began weaving their plans. They manipulated minor disputes into larger conflicts, planting the seeds of chaos. Human colonies along the border of Lashi space were the first to feel the tension. Trade routes were disrupted, and diplomatic channels grew cold. All the while, the humans maintained their composure, determined to resolve conflicts through negotiation rather than force. But the Lashi had other intentions. They weren't interested in peace. They were testing humanity, probing for weaknesses, and preparing for a strike. To them, the humans were just another stepping stone to greater dominance in the Confederation. Their ambitions were clear, and their strategy was cruelly precise. As the Confederation observed, many species were indifferent. Humanity was seen as naive, overly reliant on diplomacy in a galaxy that often rewarded strength over reason. "Those who run," they muttered, will not stand long in the face of those who scourge. Few realized that humanity's choice of name would become far more significant than anyone could imagine. Humanity, for its part, was not blind to the gathering storm. Beneath their outward calm, preparations were quietly underway. Earth's leaders, aware of the Lashi's reputation, began laying the groundwork for defense. Factories shifted production to military assets, and strategies were drawn in secret. They knew they couldn't match the Lashi's military power outright, but humanity had a long history of overcoming impossible odds. In the coming cycles, the Confederation would learn the truth behind humanity's name. Those who run were not weak. They were survivors. And when cornered, they would show the galaxy what it truly meant to endure. The Lashi were masters of strategy, their tactics honed by centuries of conflict and dominance. Their predatory instincts, coupled with a deep understanding of the Confederation's labyrinthine bureaucracy, made them a formidable force. To the Lashi, war wasn't just about conquering, it was about crafting a narrative, ensuring their actions were justified in the eyes of the galaxy. Humanity, young and untested, seemed the perfect target for their next conquest. Tensions between humanity and the Lashi had simmered for months, escalating subtly yet deliberately. Trade ships began disappearing near the border of Lashi space, their wreckage found adrift, stripped of valuable cargo. Human diplomatic envoys reported unusual hostility during negotiations with Lashi officials. It was clear the Lashi were orchestrating a campaign of intimidation. Yet, when humanity raised concerns in the Confederation Council, the Lashi dismissed them with feigned innocence. The Confederation, bound by its rigid traditions and endless protocols, was slow to act. By the time any investigation could be authorized, the Lashi's groundwork was firmly in place. They had crafted a narrative where humanity was portrayed as the aggressor, ambitious and reckless newcomers disrupting the balance of power. In the eyes of many in the Confederation, the humans were not victims but troublemakers who didn't understand the rules of the game. When the Lashi finally declared Coral, a rite of unassisted warfare sanctioned by the Confederation, it caught humanity off guard. Coral was an ancient tradition, used sparingly and often against weaker species unable to mount a significant defense. The rules were simple but ruthless: no other Confederation members could intervene, no external aid could be offered, and the conflict would persist until one side conceded. For the Lashi, Coral was a legal shield, allowing them to strike without fear of reprisal from humanity's potential allies. The declaration came during a session of the Confederation Senate. The Lashi senator, a towering figure with razor-sharp teeth and a predatory grin, presented an ornate scroll bearing the official proclamation. His voice boomed through the chamber as he issued the challenge. "Coral," he declared, the word echoing like a death knell. "We demand satisfaction for the transgressions of those who run." The human representative, Ambassador Kalandre, stood in stunned silence. He had known conflict with the Lashi was a possibility, but the outright declaration of Coral was beyond his expectations. Gathering his composure, he addressed the assembly. "This is madness. We have sought nothing but peace. This war will bring ruin to both our peoples." The Lashi senator's response was a chilling laugh. "Peace," he sneered. "You misunderstand us, human. Your weakness disrupts the natural order. We shall restore it." The chamber fell into uneasy quiet. Many delegates avoided meeting Dre's gaze, their silence a tacit acceptance of the Lashi's challenge. Humanity was on its own. Humanity's first moves. Back on Earth, the news of the Lashi's declaration spread like wildfire. Panic rippled through the population. The Confederation's rules meant humanity would receive no aid, and the Lashi's reputation for overwhelming their enemies was well known. Yet, amid the fear, a resolve began to grow. Humanity had faced extinction before, from plagues, wars, and natural disasters, and each time, they had survived. This would be no different. The United Earth Council convened an emergency session. Military leaders, scientists, and politicians debated strategies late into the night. General Elena Voss, a seasoned tactician, took command of the defense efforts. "We cannot outgun them," she said bluntly, her voice steady and commanding. "But we can outthink them." Earth's industries, dormant since humanity's unification, roared back to life. Factories were repurposed to produce ships, weapons, and defensive systems. Engineers and scientists worked tirelessly, innovating new technologies to bridge the gap between humanity's modest fleet and the Lashi's formidable armada. Central to humanity's strategy was Project Perseus, a top-secret initiative focused on creating a fleet of experimental stealth ships. These vessels, designed for speed and invisibility, were humanity's best chance to level the playing field. If the Lashi relied on brute strength, humanity would rely on cunning. The Lashi's preparations. While humanity scrambled to prepare, the Lashi moved with cold precision. Their fleets, amassed over decades, were more than ready for war. Vast warships, bristling with weapons, began mobilizing at the edge of human space. The Lashi military command relished the opportunity to test their forces against a new foe. The Lashi's strategy was straightforward: overwhelm humanity with a swift and brutal assault. Their first target would be Sirius V, a strategically significant colony that supplied Earth with vital resources. Capturing it would cripple humanity's production capabilities and send a message of dominance. The Lashi did not expect significant resistance. To them, humanity's fleets were little more than an inconvenience, a speed bump on their path to victory. They underestimated their prey. A galaxy watches. As the conflict loomed, the rest of the Confederation watched with a mix of curiosity and indifference. For most species, the war was a spectacle, a reminder of the Confederation's ancient traditions. Some sympathized with humanity, quietly hoping they could endure. Others, like the opportunistic Marviks, placed bets on how quickly the Lashi would crush their new prey. Yet, there were whispers among the older species, those who had seen empires rise and fall. They remembered the Terran representative's declaration, "Those who run." Perhaps humanity's name held a deeper meaning than most understood. Perhaps their survival instincts, honed over millennia, would surprise even the Lashi. For humanity, survival was not just a goal, it was a promise. The Lashi had underestimated what it meant to face a species that had spent its entire existence overcoming the odds. The storm was coming, and humanity was ready to run, not away, but toward victory. Humanity's unlikely strategy. The war began with the Lashi striking hard and fast, just as humanity had expected. Their fleets appeared on the edges of Sirius V's star system, a massive and imposing force that dwarfed the human defenses stationed there. The Lashi did not waste time on negotiations or posturing. They were predators, and they intended to make their move swiftly, overwhelming their prey before humanity could organize a meaningful response. Sirius V was a vital colony for humanity, its resources critical to Earth's burgeoning industrial base. Losing it would be a significant blow, not just to the war effort but to the morale of the human race. General Elena Voss and her team, however, had anticipated this. Sirius V had been fortified for weeks before the declaration of Coral, and while its defenses weren't enough to hold off the Lashi indefinitely, they were designed to serve another purpose entirely: buying time. The Lashi's attack began as expected, with a wave of assault ships plunging into the planet's orbital defenses. Automated turrets, positioned in strategic arrays, came to life, firing relentlessly at the invaders. Mines hidden among the asteroid fields detonated with calculated precision, disrupting the Lashi formations. Human pilots, flying outdated yet agile fighters, engaged in hit-and-run tactics, striking at weak points in the Lashi ships before retreating to safer positions. The Lashi commanders were quick to adapt, adjusting their formations and pressing the attack, but the resistance was far greater than they had anticipated. While the Lashi forces focused on the orbital battle, a different kind of war unfolded on the planet's surface. Sirius V's population had been evacuated weeks prior, leaving behind a ghost colony rigged with traps. Automated ground defenses, decoy installations, and hidden strike teams turned the lush terrain into a deadly maze. Every step the Lashi ground forces took met resistance, not from soldiers in open combat, but from an invisible enemy striking from the shadows. The humans had no illusions about victory at Cyrus V. The colony was a sacrifice, its defenses designed to bleed the Lashi of time and resources. Every delay allowed Earth's factories to churn out more ships, weapons, and equipment. Every setback for the Lashi gave humanity's strategists more opportunities to learn and adapt. The Lashi, however, underestimated the psychological impact of their slow progress. Accustomed to swift victories, they grew frustrated with the drawn-out battle. For every trap they dismantled, another seemed to spring up in its place. For every human fighter they destroyed, two more appeared from unexpected angles. Their commanders began to suspect that humanity's weakness had been exaggerated, and this realization sowed the first seeds of doubt within their ranks. Behind the scenes, humanity's greatest strength, its capacity for innovation, was coming to the forefront. Engineers and scientists worked around the clock, improving technologies and devising new strategies to counter the Lashi's superior firepower. The experimental ships under Project Perseus were nearing completion, their stealth capabilities promising to shift the balance of power. Humanity wasn't merely reacting to the Lashi, it was preparing to take the fight to them. Across the galaxy, the Confederation observed the conflict with growing interest. At first, most delegates dismissed humanity's resistance as a fleeting annoyance, a futile attempt to delay the inevitable. But as the weeks dragged on, a shift in perception began to take hold. The humans, it seemed, were not simply running, they were surviving, and in their survival, they were defying expectations. Rumors began to circulate among the Confederation's quieter members, those who had suffered at the hands of the Lashi in the past. Some saw an opportunity in humanity's resistance, a chance to weaken the Lashi's grip on the Confederation. Covertly, these species began to offer small gestures of support, intelligence leaks, resource shipments disguised as neutral trade, and advice on Lashi tactics. Though the rules of Coral forbade direct intervention, loopholes allowed for more subtle forms of assistance, and humanity seized every opportunity. As the battle for Cyrus V raged on, Earth's leaders made a bold decision. General Voss proposed a plan to strike at the Lashi supply lines, forcing them to stretch their resources thin. It was a risky move, requiring the use of the first stealth ships from Project Perseus. These vessels, still untested in real combat, represented humanity's hope for a strategic edge. If they succeeded, they could buy humanity the time it desperately needed. The plan was approved, and within days, the Perseus fleet slipped into Lashi space under the cover of their advanced cloaking systems. Their mission was simple but dangerous: disrupt the Lashi's logistical network, targeting their fuel depots, ammunition transports, and communication relays. The stealth ships operated in absolute silence, striking quickly and retreating before the Lashi could mount a defense. The raids were devastating. The Lashi, caught off guard by the sudden attacks deep within their territory, scrambled to respond. Their fleets, already committed to the battle for Cyrus V, found themselves stretched too thin to protect their supply lines. The humans had turned the tide of the war, not through brute strength, but through ingenuity in calculated risk. For the first time, the galaxy began to see the true meaning behind the name, those who run. Humanity's survival instincts, honed over millennia, were proving to be their greatest asset. They were not running from the fight, they were running toward victory, adapting with every step, and turning their supposed weakness into an unyielding strength. The battle for Cyrus V entered its third week, a grueling conflict that had tested both sides to their limits. The Lashi, accustomed to swift and decisive victories, found themselves bogged down in a war of attrition. What they had anticipated as a quick conquest had turned into a prolonged struggle, draining their resources and patience. Humanity's strategy of endurance and disruption was proving far more effective than the Lashi had imagined. The orbital battle remained fierce. Human pilots, flying their outdated yet agile fighters, continued to harass the Lashi fleets. Each engagement was a carefully planned ambush, designed to inflict maximum damage before the humans retreated to safety. These tactics frustrated the Lashi commanders, who struggled to pin down the elusive Terran forces. The humans weren't fighting to win outright, they were fighting to buy time, and they were doing so with remarkable efficiency. On the ground, the Lashi's invasion forces faced a nightmare of their own. Cyrus V's surface had been turned into a deadly web of traps and guerrilla warfare. Automated drones stalked the dense forests, targeting Lashi patrols with precision strikes. Mines hidden beneath the planet's rocky terrain detonated at the slightest misstep, while decoy installations led the invaders into carefully laid ambushes. Even the planet's weather systems, subtly manipulated by human engineers, seemed to conspire against the Lashi, with sudden storms disrupting their movements and communications. The Lashi soldiers, despite their advanced training and equipment, began to show cracks under the relentless pressure. Their morale waned as they faced an enemy they couldn't see, an opponent who struck from the shadows and vanished before they could retaliate. For a species that prided itself on dominance, the experience was humbling and deeply unsettling. Meanwhile, humanity's leadership remained focused on the larger picture. General Elena Voss, overseeing the conflict from a command station in orbit around Earth, monitored the situation with meticulous attention. She knew Cyrus V was a temporary line in the sand, a place to slow the Lashi and exhaust their resources. But she also understood that the true fight would be decided elsewhere, by the daring raids of the Perseus fleet and the continued ingenuity of humanity's scientists and engineers. The Perseus fleet, operating deep within Lashi space, had become a thorn in the side of the Scourge fleet. These experimental stealth ships, equipped with advanced cloaking technology and AI-assisted navigation, struck with surgical precision. Fuel depots exploded in brilliant fireballs, supply ships vanished without a trace, and communication relays went silent. The Lashi, unaccustomed to being on the defensive, scrambled to respond, diverting ships from the Cyrus V campaign to protect their vulnerable infrastructure. The impact of these raids was profound. The Lashi's war machine, so heavily reliant on its logistical backbone, began to falter. Ships at the front lines found themselves without ammunition and fuel. Ground forces on Cyrus V received no reinforcements, no supplies to replenish their dwindling stocks. The once overwhelming might of the Scourge fleet was being slowly but surely eroded, not by direct confrontation, but by calculated disruption. For the people of Earth, these small victories were a source of hope. News of the Perseus fleet's successes spread quickly, bolstering morale and inspiring resilience. Stories of human ingenuity and bravery, of pilots who defied impossible odds, engineers who devised ingenious solutions, and soldiers who held their ground against overwhelming forces, became a rallying cry for humanity. The phrase, "those who run," took on a new meaning, symbolizing not retreat, but adaptability and determination. As the battle dragged on, cracks began to appear within the Lashi's leadership. Their commanders, previously unified in their confidence of swift victory, began to argue over strategy. Some pushed for a full-scale assault to end the conflict quickly, while others advocated for a retreat to consolidate their forces. The humans, they realized, were not the easy prey they had expected. The longer the war continued, the more vulnerable the Lashi became. Amidst this growing turmoil, a critical turning point emerged. A team of human scientists, working tirelessly on Earth, unveiled a breakthrough in energy shielding technology. The new shields, designed to be deployed on planetary surfaces, could repel even the most advanced Lashi weaponry. Cyrus V became the testing ground for this innovation, with shield generators deployed across key defensive positions. When the Lashi launched a renewed offensive, hoping to break the human defenses once and for all, they were met with an unexpected and impenetrable barrier. Their energy blasts dissipated harmlessly against the shimmering shields, while human forces counterattacked with devastating precision. The Lashi's momentum was shattered, their forces pushed back in disarray. The defeat at Cyrus V sent shockwaves through the Lashi's ranks. For the first time in the conflict, they found themselves on the losing side. The humans had not only endured but had struck back with a strength and ingenuity that defied all expectations. The Scourge fleet, once a symbol of unstoppable power, began to waver. Across the galaxy, the Confederation watched in astonishment. Humanity, dismissed by many as weak and inexperienced, was proving to be a force to be reckoned with. Those who run, they began to say, do not run away. They run forward, and they run strong. The Lashi, though bloodied, were far from defeated. Their fleets still outnumbered humanity's many times over, and their leaders were determined to reclaim their dominance. But the war had changed. The humans had turned the tide, and the Lashi now faced a new reality, one where their prey was no longer helpless, but an opponent capable of striking back with relentless determination. The stage was set for the next phase of the war, and humanity was ready to meet it head-on. As the war between humanity and the Lashi intensified, the rest of the galaxy watched with growing fascination. The Confederation, bound by its traditions and rules, had officially declared itself neutral, honoring the ancient right of quarrel. Yet, not all species were content to remain mere spectators. The resilience and ingenuity displayed by humanity began to stir something unexpected: sympathy, admiration, and even a desire to assist in defiance of the Confederation's decrees. One of the first to act was the Mortal, a species known for their peaceful ways and advanced knowledge of diplomacy and strategy. The Mortal had suffered under the Lashi in centuries past, their worlds ravaged during a brutal campaign that left scars still fresh in their collective memory. While they could not intervene openly, the Mortal began covertly feeding intelligence to humanity's leadership. Detailed reports on Lashi fleet movements, supply routes, and weaknesses filtered into Earth's command centers through encrypted channels. General Elena Voss, now firmly at the helm of humanity's war effort, saw the value of this newfound support. "We're not alone in this," she told her team during one of their strategy meetings. "The galaxy may be watching from the sidelines, but some of them want us to win. We'll take whatever help we can get." Other species followed the Morthal's lead. The Kelveran, a race of traders who had long endured the Lashi's heavy-handed tactics in the galactic economy, began smuggling supplies to humanity's colonies. These shipments, disguised as neutral trade, included vital resources, medical supplies, advanced components for starship repairs, and even experimental technologies. The Kelveran's network of hidden trade routes became a lifeline for humanity, allowing them to continue fighting despite the Lashi's attempts to strangle their logistics. Even the enigmatic Rilth, a species known for their cautious and reclusive nature, found subtle ways to assist. Using their advanced communication systems, they disrupted Lashi transmissions, creating confusion and chaos within their ranks. These small acts of sabotage, though seemingly insignificant, added to the mounting pressure on the Lashi's war machine. Meanwhile, humanity continued to innovate. The Perseus fleet, already proving invaluable in the conflict, received upgrades based on technology gleaned from their new allies. Cloaking devices became more efficient, weapon systems more precise. These enhancements allowed the fleet to push deeper into Lashi territory, targeting critical infrastructure with devastating precision. Fuel depots were obliterated, factories reduced to rubble, and command centers thrown into disarray. The raids were not without cost. The Lashi, enraged by their losses, began deploying countermeasures. They fortified their supply lines with heavily armed escorts and laid traps for the Perseus fleet. Human ships were lost, and their crews mourned, but the sacrifices were not in vain. Each successful mission further destabilized the Lashi's ability to wage war, and humanity's reputation for relentless determination grew with every strike. Back on Earth, the morale of the population began to shift. What had started as fear and uncertainty now transformed into a sense of unity and purpose. News of humanity's successes, coupled with the covert support from their galactic allies, inspired hope. Stories of heroism spread like wildfire, pilots who narrowly escaped Lashi ambushes, engineers who worked tirelessly to repair damaged ships, and soldiers who held their ground against overwhelming odds. In one particularly daring mission, a Perseus ship infiltrated the Lashi home system, striking at a key shipyard responsible for producing their largest warships. The attack, executed with surgical precision, left the shipyard in ruins and delayed the construction of new vessels by months. The mission's leader, Captain Yara Finn, became a symbol of humanity's defiance. Her name, along with her crews, was whispered with admiration not just among humans, but among the growing number of sympathizers within the Confederation. The Lashi leadership, facing setbacks on multiple fronts, convened emergency meetings to reassess their strategy. Their initial confidence had been shattered, replaced by frustration and a gnawing sense of doubt. The humans, once dismissed as weak and inexperienced, had proven themselves far more capable than anyone had anticipated. Worse, the Lashi began to suspect that other species were quietly aiding their prey, though they lacked the evidence to act against them. For humanity, these cracks in the Lashi's facade were opportunities. General Voss and her team capitalized on every advantage, using the chaos within the Lashi ranks to press their attacks further. Each victory, no matter how small, was a step closer to turning the tide of the war entirely in humanity's favor. Despite their successes, humanity remained aware of the challenges ahead. The Lashi still possessed a formidable fleet and vast resources. Victory would not come easily or quickly. But for the first time, it felt within reach. The support from their covert allies, coupled with humanity's own ingenuity and determination, had created a fighting chance. The Confederation, once indifferent to the conflict, began to take notice of the shifting dynamics. Delegates whispered in private about the implications of humanity's resilience. Some speculated that the Lashi's dominance could be challenged, while others wondered if humanity, should they survive, might one day reshape the very fabric of the Confederation itself. For now, humanity focused on the battles at hand, their resolve unshaken. They were no longer just surviving, they were fighting back. And with each passing day, the name, "Those Who Run," became less a subject of ridicule and more a testament to their strength. Humanity wasn't running away, they were running toward a future where they would stand as equals in the galaxy, not as prey, but as a force to be reckoned with. The war had dragged on for months, each cycle bringing new challenges and opportunities. For humanity, every victory against the Lashi had been hard-earned, and every loss was met with determination to push forward. What had once seemed like an unwinnable conflict was now shifting in humanity's favor. The Lashi, for all their power and cunning, were learning the hard way that they had underestimated their prey. The Perseus fleet had become a ghostly terror in Lashi space, striking where the enemy least expected. Advanced stealth technology and the strategic brilliance of General Elena Voss allowed these ships to bypass heavily fortified systems and target critical infrastructure. In one daring raid, the Perseus fleet destroyed a massive fuel depot orbiting the Lashi-held planet of Korvax Prime. The resulting explosion created a chain reaction that crippled several nearby facilities. The Lashi fleets, already stretched thin, were left scrambling to secure new supply lines. Back on Earth, the news of these victories sparked an unprecedented wave of morale and unity. The media celebrated the Perseus fleet as heroes, sharing stories of their daring missions and the ingenuity of the engineers who made their technology possible. Civilians contributed to the war effort however they could, from volunteering for service to working tirelessly in factories producing supplies and weapons. The phrase, "Those Who Run," became a rallying cry, symbolizing humanity's ability to outmaneuver and outlast even the most fearsome opponent. Despite the growing momentum, the Lashi were far from defeated. Their fleet still outnumbered humanity's many times over, and their command structure, though shaken, remained dangerous. The Scourge Fleet, as it was called, regrouped near the human colony of Delos 4, a strategic hub with advanced research facilities and a thriving population. The Lashi intended to make an example of the colony, crushing it to demoralize humanity and regain the upper hand. Humanity's leadership anticipated the attack. General Voss, along with her team of tacticians, devised a bold plan to counter the Lashi's assault. Delos 4 would not be abandoned or sacrificed like Cyrus V. Instead, it would serve as a trap, a chance to deliver a decisive blow to the Lashi forces. The colony's defenses were reinforced with cutting-edge energy shields, automated turrets, and concealed artillery. Additionally, a portion of the Perseus fleet was stationed nearby, ready to strike when the moment was right. The Lashi arrived with overwhelming force, their warships blotting out the stars as they descended upon Delos 4. They expected a swift victory, but the humans had other plans. As the Lashi opened fire, the colony's energy shields absorbed the brunt of the attack, deflecting even the most powerful blasts. Automated defenses retaliated with devastating accuracy, targeting key systems on the Lashi ships and forcing them to adjust their formations. Then, humanity revealed its trump card. The Perseus fleet emerged from the shadows, their cloaking systems deactivating just long enough to deliver precision strikes against the Lashi command ships. The surprise attack threw the Scourge fleet into chaos. Ships collided in the confusion, while others were disabled before they could respond. Human pilots, flying sleek fighters equipped with upgraded weaponry, exploited the disarray to launch coordinated attacks on vulnerable targets. On the surface of Delos 4, the Lashi ground forces faced an equally nightmarish scenario. The colony's defenders, bolstered by new equipment and strategies, held their ground with unyielding determination. Traps, decoys, and hit-and-run tactics disrupted the Lashi's advance, while coordinated counterattacks pushed them back. For the first time, the Lashi experienced what it meant to be hunted, their every move anticipated and countered. The battle raged for hours, each side refusing to relent. The Lashi commanders, desperate to turn the tide, ordered a full-scale bombardment of the colony. But humanity had prepared for this as well. The advanced energy shields, designed specifically to withstand prolonged assaults, held firm, defying the Lashi's most powerful weapons. Frustration turned to desperation as the Scourge fleet realized they were losing not just the battle, but their grip on the war itself. As dawn broke over Delos 4, the outcome became clear. The Lashi fleet, battered and disorganized, began a retreat. Their forces on the ground, cut off from support, surrendered en masse. Humanity had achieved a resounding victory, one that sent shockwaves through the Confederation. The once invincible Scourge fleet had been dealt a humiliating defeat, and humanity had proven that they were far more than the timid newcomers many had assumed. This victory marked a turning point in the war. The Lashi, though still a formidable threat, were now on the defensive. Their resources were dwindling, their strategies unraveling, and their reputation as an unstoppable force shattered. Humanity, meanwhile, grew stronger with each passing day. Their alliances, though unofficial, deepened as more species quietly offered support. The Confederation, once indifferent, began to view humanity with a mix of respect and curiosity. General Voss, addressing the people of Earth after the battle, summed up the spirit of the moment. "We are not running away," she declared. "We are running forward, toward a future where we are no longer prey, but equals. This war is not over, but today, we have shown the galaxy what it means to be human." Across the stars, whispers of humanity's resilience spread. Those who had doubted them now reconsidered. Those who had scorned them now watched with growing respect. And those who had sought to destroy them now faced the sobering reality of their mistake. Humanity, once dismissed as weak, was proving to be a force that could not only endure but rise above even the greatest challenges. The tide had turned, and the galaxy was beginning to take notice. The name fulfilled. The victory at Delos 4 had changed everything. Humanity was no longer a species merely fighting for survival, they were winning. The Lashi, once feared as invincible predators, had been dealt a series of devastating blows that left them scrambling to recover. The tide of war had shifted, and with it, humanity's place in the galaxy. Despite their losses, the Lashi were not ready to concede. Their leaders, humiliated and desperate, prepared for a final, decisive assault. They targeted Earth itself, reasoning that the destruction of humanity's home world would cripple their spirit and end the conflict once and for all. The Scourge fleet, now consolidated into a massive armada, began its march toward the Sol system. Humanity, however, was ready. The United Earth Council and General Elena Voss had anticipated this move. Earth had been fortified with layers of advanced defenses, orbital platforms armed with railguns and missile systems, a fleet of Perseus stealth ships patrolling the outer reaches of the system, and a network of sensor arrays to detect any approach. The humans had also deployed their newest innovation, the Aegis Array, a planetary shield system capable of withstanding sustained bombardment. As the Lashi Armada entered the Sol system, the largest battle of the war began. The Lashi attacked with overwhelming firepower, their warships unleashing a torrent of destruction. Earth's orbital defenses responded in kind, and the void between the fleets became a deadly storm of energy blasts and explosions. The Perseus fleet, using their cloaking systems, struck from the shadows, targeting the Lashi's command ships and disrupting their formations. Human pilots, now veterans of countless skirmishes, fought with unmatched skill and precision, taking out enemy fighters and frigates. The battle raged on, each side determined to emerge victorious. On the surface of Earth, people watched the conflict unfold with a mix of fear and determination. Civilians worked tirelessly to support the war effort, while the military forces prepared for a potential ground invasion. Across the planet, there was an unshakable sense of unity, a shared belief that humanity would endure, no matter the cost. The turning point came when General Voss ordered the deployment of humanity's most daring strategy yet. A small team of elite operatives, using a Perseus ship, infiltrated the Lashi flagship, the Vereshkal, which housed their high command. Their mission: disable the ship's main systems and sow chaos among the Lashi leadership. The infiltration team, led by Captain Yara Finn, moved with precision and stealth, bypassing security systems and eliminating resistance with surgical efficiency. As they reached the ship's command center, they planted explosive charges on key systems, ensuring the ship's complete disablement. The explosions sent shockwaves through the Lashi fleet, throwing their forces into disarray. Seizing the opportunity, humanity's fleets pressed their advantage, launching a coordinated assault on the remaining Lashi ships. One by one, the Scourge fleet fell apart, their ships destroyed or forced to retreat. The battle ended with the Lashi Armada shattered, their ambitions of conquest reduced to ashes. With their fleet destroyed and their leadership in disarray, the Lashi had no choice but to surrender. The terms were clear: an end to hostilities, reparations for the damages caused, and recognition of humanity's strength and sovereignty. The Lashi, for the first time in their history, were forced to concede defeat. The conclusion of the war marked a new chapter for humanity. They were no longer the timid newcomers mocked as those who run. Instead, their name had become a symbol of resilience, adaptability, and unyielding determination. They had shown the galaxy that running didn't mean fleeing, it meant surviving, enduring, and ultimately thriving. In the aftermath of the conflict, humanity's reputation within the Confederation was transformed. Once dismissed as weak, they were now respected and even admired. Their ability to unite under pressure, innovate in the face of adversity, and fight with unmatched determination had earned them allies among species that had once ignored them. General Elena Voss, addressing the Confederation Senate, delivered a powerful message: "We chose the name, Those Who Run, not as a mark of fear, but as a testament to our history and spirit. We run to survive, to endure, and to rise above the challenges we face. And now, we run not away from danger, but toward the future, a future we will help shape." The war with the Lashi became a turning point in galactic history. It reshaped the balance of power, weakened the Lashi's dominance, and elevated humanity to a position of influence within the Confederation. The phrase, "those who run," was no longer a subject of ridicule but a reminder of humanity's strength, a name that inspired others to believe in the power of endurance and ingenuity. For humanity, the war was over, but their journey was just beginning. They had proven themselves not just as survivors but as a force to be reckoned with. As the stars stretched out before them, humanity ran forward, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They had fulfilled their name, and in doing so, they had earned their place among the stars.